Welcome. Today, let's think about something, well, truly astonishing about just being here. Every single time you breathe out, you exhale something like 25 sextillion molecules of oxygen.
25 sextillion. That's 25 with 21 zeros, right?
Exactly. It's a number so huge, it basically means you'll eventually inhale molecules from, well, everyone who's ever lived. Think Caesar, Cleopatra.
Wow.
And the flip side is, everyone living from now until the sun dies will probably breathe in a little bit of you.
So, atomically speaking, we're sort of eternal, connected across all time.
In a way, yeah. It's a profound thought, isn't it?
It really is. Humbling, that invisible connection.
Absolutely. And that's the kind of insight we're diving into today. We're unpacking an incredible book, The Body, A Guide for Occupants by Bill Bryson.
Bryson, always a fascinating read.
Right. Our goal here is to pull out the key nuggets, the most surprising facts about, well, us, your body. It's a shortcut to understanding this amazing vessel we live in. We're looking for those aha moments.
Those moments that shift your perspective.
Exactly. And this insightful analysis comes to you from Mindful Moments, which is our YouTube channel.
Right. Offering AI-powered book analysis.
Yeah.
Designed to, make you think, inspire some rational thought.
Precisely. So where should we start? Maybe the sheer endurance of life itself.
Okay. Let's consider something really fundamental.
Yeah.
Your genes.
Okay, this part of the book really blew my mind. The idea that your genes are incredibly ancient, maybe even eternal.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. In 3 billion years since life first sparked, your personal line of descent has never once been broken.
Not once. Every single ancestor, right back to the start, had to successfully reproduce.
It's staggering.
It really is. It's this unbelievable chain of success. For you to be sitting here, every single link in that chain, generation after generation, had to pass on its genes before its time was up.
An unbroken line.
Yeah. It's just a testament to life's incredibly persistent drive. It's built right into us.
And speaking of persistence, what about those tiny defenders the book mentions? Phages.
Ah, yes. Bacteriophages. They're everywhere.
Like literally covering every surface, including us.
Pretty much. And the amazing thing about phages is that each type targets a specific kind of harmful bacterium.
So they're like targeted assassins for bad bacteria.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which means potentially clinicians could use these viruses to hunt down specific infections. It's like a natural living antibiotic.
That could be revolutionary, couldn't it? Especially with antibiotic resistance being such a huge problem.
It really could be. It's this microscopic army just waiting for us to fully figure out how to deploy it.
The body's designs are just exquisite. Look at blood, red blood cells specifically.
Designed perfectly for delivering oxygen.
And the numbers. A single teaspoon of blood has about 25 billion red blood cells.
Incredible.
And each one of those holds 250,000 hemoglobin molecules to grab onto the oxygen.
And their shape, that biconcave disc, it maximizes the surface area for grabbing and releasing oxygen. Super efficient.
Right.
But here's the paradox. They deliver oxygen everywhere, but they don't use it themselves.
Really? How do they get energy then?
They run on glucose. It's perfect specialization, you see. They're optimized for delivery, not consuming the goods.
Amazing. And then you have platelets, constantly patrolling, ready to clot a wound.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Millions of them swarm a bleed, proteins join in, they form a plug. And get this, there are at least 12 fail-safe mechanisms built in to prevent mistakes.
12? That's serious redundancy.
It has to be. And we're only recently realizing they do more than just clotting. They're involved in immune response, tissue repair.
A whole emergency response team.
Pretty much, on constant standby.
It's wild that it took us so long to understand something as basic as how blood moves around. For centuries, people believed Galen's idea.
Right, that the liver just continuously made blood and the body used it up immediately.
Seems crazy now, doesn't it?
Completely. But that was the accepted truth until William Harvey in 1657 figured out it circulates in a closed loop.
But didn't people laugh at him?
Oh, absolutely. His theory was universally ridiculed. He died a bitter man, apparently.
Despite being completely right.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How often do we dismiss breakthrough ideas just because they challenge what we think we know?
A cautionary tale. And then, much later, Carl Landsteiner discovers blood types.
A, B, and O, which he actually meant as 0, signifying absence.
Ah, I didn't know that. And then A, B, and the Rh factor came later.
And that finally explained why transfusions kept failing.
Yeah.
Incompatible types.
Huge discovery. But again...
Nobody really paid attention at first. It took 30 years before he got a Nobel Prize for it in 1930.
30 years. It's a pattern, isn't it? Groundbreaking insight followed by crickets.
Seems that way sometimes. It takes time for big ideas to sink in.
Okay, let's shift gears. From blood to the brain, maybe an even bigger mystery.
Definitely more enigmatic in many ways.
The book raises this really interesting point. How much of our brain power seems, well, unnecessary for just basic survival?
Huh?
Why did we evolve this huge, energy-hungry brain with all this capacity we don't strictly need just to stay alive?
That's a fantastic question. The cerebrum, the big wrinkly part, handles all the higher stuff, thinking, language, consciousness.
And it's got that weird crossed wiring, right?
Yeah, right brain controls left body, left brain controls right body. We still don't really know why.
Yeah.
And all those folds and grooves, the sulci and gyri, they're unique to each person, like a fingerprint.
So maybe that extra capacity is the point. What makes us us?
Perhaps. It allows for abstract thought, creativity, the urge to understand things, like we're doing now.
And memory is fascinatingly complex, too. Working memory.
Right, that's like juggling short-term info with long-term skills. Finding your way in a new town, for example.
Yeah.
You need the current street name, but also your stored ability to read a map.
Okay, makes sense. And that's different from recognition memory.
Yeah, that's more like, you might not remember all the plot details of a book, but you remember the cover or where you were when you read it. It's useful because it stops your brain getting cluttered with every tiny detail, but it helps you find the info again if needed, like an index.
An efficient filing system. Okay, now the I. The book calls it a thing of wonder, but also points out it's built, like, backwards.
Yeah, back to front is how Bryson puts it. The light detectors are at the back, behind nerves and blood vessels.
Which is why sometimes you see those little sparks, the blue sky sprites.
Exactly. If you look at a clear blue sky, you might actually be seeing your own white blood cells squeezing through tiny capillaries in front of your retina.
That's wild.
But here's what's even wilder. You have a blind spot where the optic nerve connects, a hole in your vision.
I don't see a hole.
Right, because your brain constantly fills it in.
Yeah.
It's called perceptual interpolation. It basically guesses what should be there based on the surroundings.
So part of what I'm seeing right now is actually imagined.
A significant part, yes. Your brain constructs it. Which begs the question, doesn't it? If our brain actively builds our visual reality, what else are we perceiving that's, well, maybe more constructed than real?
Whoa. Okay, that's deep. It makes you appreciate how far we've come from, say, the 19th century.
Oh, absolutely. That era was a golden age for quackery-like phrenology.
Reading personality from skull bumps. Seriously.
Seriously. And craniometry, measuring skulls to determine intelligence or character. Utter nonsense, we know now.
But that ignorance had real terrible consequences, didn't it? Like with epilepsy.
Definitely. For centuries, people with epilepsy were feared, shunned, even demonized. And it wasn't that long ago, really. As late as 1956, some U.S. states banned them from marrying.
Banned from marrying.
And others allowed involuntary sterilization. Those laws weren't fully gone until 1980.
1980? That's shocking.
The book sums it up so powerfully. 4,000 years of ignorance, superstition, and stigma, followed by 100 years of knowledge, superstition, and stigma.
Oof, progress is slow.
Painfully slow sometimes, especially when it comes to understanding and acceptance.
Okay, let's talk defenses. Our lungs, for instance.
Yes,
Living in a city, the book says we inhale something like 20 billion foreign particles every day.
Yeah, dust, pollution, pollen, microbes. It's a constant onslaught.
But mostly we're fine.
Yeah.
Ow.
Your body has an amazing cleaning crew. Big stuff gets coughed or sneezed out.
Right.
Smaller stuff gets trapped in mucus.
Yeah.
Then you've got cilia, tiny hairs lining the airways,
Yeah.
beating 16 times a second.
16 times a second, like tiny paddles.
Exactly. Paddling the mucus and trapped particles up to your throat to be swallowed and dissolved in stomach acid.
And anything that gets past that.
Is met by alveolar macrophages. Little cells that just devour invaders. It's a relentless, multi-layered defense.
Incredible. And yet conditions like asthma are strange, right? The book notes lung function can be totally normal between attacks.
Yes, it's peculiar. And sometimes asthma just disappears. Mysteriously. We still don't fully understand it.
So many mysteries still. What about water balance? We lose a lot, don't we?
We do. A 155-pound man has about 42 quarts of water. Even just resting, you lose maybe 1.5 quarts a day, breathing, sweating, peeing.
Okay.
But start exercising. That can jump to 1.5 quarts an hour.
An hour? No wonder hydration is so critical.
Absolutely. It affects everything.
I loved the bit in the book about the wrist. An orthopedic surgeon called it a thing of beauty.
It really is remarkable engineering. Think of all the muscles, nerves, blood vessels packed into that small space, yet it's incredibly mobile and strong.
Magnificent piece of engineering was the phrase.
And the components? Cartilage in our joints. It's many times smoother than glass.
Smoother than glass.
Yes, with a friction coefficient 5 times lower than ice sliding on ice. Imagine hockey players going 16 times faster. That's how slippery cartilage is. But it's not brittle like ice. It's resilient.
Wow. And speaking of wrists, that bizarre experiment from the 1930s, Pierre Barbet.
Yes. The crucifixion experiments. A bit morbid, perhaps?
Definitely morbid. He used actual corpses to see if nails in the palms could hold a body's weight on a cross.
And found they couldn't. The flesh would just tear.
But nails through the wrists.
Held the weight indefinitely. Showed just how robust the wrist structure actually is.
Unconventional research, to say the least.
Indeed. But it revealed something about the body's surprising strength.
Let's move on to digestion. Starting with the stomach, it's not where most people think it is it?
No, it's higher up than the belly button and off to the left. And surprisingly, you can live without it. Its role in actual digestion is less vital than we assume.
So what's its main job then?
Killing microbes. That powerful hydrochloric acid is a first line of defense against ingested pathogens. As one surgeon in the book said, without your stomach, a lot more of what you ate would make you ill.
Okay, that makes sense. And that leads to the incredible story of Alexis St. Martin.
The man with the hole in his stomach.
Right. After a gunshot wound, he lived for years with this opening, letting Dr. Beaumont perform direct experiments on digestion.
A unique, if unfortunate, window into the body. And the irony, St. Martin outlived the doctor by 27 years.
No way.
Yep. Married, had kids, lived to 86. Shows how resilient the body can be.
Incredible story. What about taste? The book talks about umami.
The fifth taste. The essence of deliciousness.
It comes from Japanese fish stock, dashi.
That's where it was first really identified. A Tokyo chemist, Kikuni Ikeda, figured out in 1909 that it was glutamate, creating that savory flavor.
So it's not just sweet, sour, salty, bitter. There's this other fundamental taste.
Exactly. Makes things taste richer, more satisfying.
Thinking about food brings us to evolution. Cooking was a game changer, wasn't it?
Absolutely huge. The book points out primates can spend up to 7 hours a day just chewing raw food.
7 hours.
Cooking makes food easier to digest, unlocks more calories with less effort, that freed up time and energy, which likely allowed our brains to grow.
But our bodies are still basically hunter-gatherer machines.
Fundamentally, yes. Designed for activity, but also efficiency, not wasting energy. So exercise is good, but rest is crucial too, especially for things like digestion. You can't properly digest while running, for instance.
That balance seems hard to strike in modern life.
Very. And it has consequences.
Like the fact that since 2011, more people worldwide die from non-communicable diseases, heart failure, stroke, diabetes, than all infectious diseases put together.
It's a stark shift. The book says we are in effect choosing how we shall die, albeit without much reflection or insight.
Wow. And obesity is a huge part of that picture.
And a global crisis. The average in rich OECD countries is nearly 20% obesity. The UK is around 27%, even higher in the US, Mexico, Chile, even France is up to over 15%.
A massive change in just a few decades.
Linked directly to diet and lifestyle changes.
What about specific advice like sodium? The book mentions some debate there.
Yeah, the WHO says limit to 2,000 milligrams a day, but some argue going that low isn't proven beneficial and might even be harmful for some people. It's not totally settled science.
Interesting. And then there's the opioid crisis,
which the book calls a peculiarly American problem.
4% of the world's population consuming 80% of the opioids.
That's the statistic.
Yeah.
And the really surreal part is companies that profited from addiction are now profiting from drugs to treat the side effects of opioid overuse. A very troubling cycle.
It really is. Okay, let's turn to sleep. It's fundamental, right? Circadian rhythms.
A signature of life, the book calls it. Found in everything, even bacteria, our internal clocks.
And what makes us feel sleepy is adenosine.
Mostly, yes. It builds up in the brain through the day. Caffeine works partly by blocking adenosine receptors.
So that's the mechanism. And we cycle through sleep phases.
Typically 4 or 5 cycles a night. Light sleep, deep sleep for restoration, and REM sleep, where we do most dreaming, all seem crucial.
But what about that guy, Randy Gardner, the student who stayed awake for 11 days?
264.4 hours?
Yeah.
An incredible feat. He claimed no ill effects at the time.
But later got insomnia he called karmic payback.
Right. Shows the body's limits, though maybe not something to replicate.
Definitely not. Shifting and aging, there's good news and, well, inevitable news. The good news is child mortality.
An amazing success story, down from 216 deaths per thousand under fives in 1950 to under 39 today. Huge progress.
Truly incredible. But for adults, the book says old age isn't new, but its commonness is.
Exactly. And curing major diseases gives diminishing returns on lifespan. Curing all cancer adds about 3.2 years. Heart disease, 5.5 years. Alzheimer's, just 19 days.
19 days, that's it.
Because something else will eventually fail. The heart's output declines steadily after 40. Eventually, it gives out. That's the one certainty.
And then there's menopause, unique to humans among primates.
Pretty much us and a few whale species.
Yeah.
Why women evolved to live so long past reproductive age is still a big evolutionary puzzle.
Huh. But even facing the end, there can be comfort. The book mentions dreams.
Yes, quite commonly, 50-60% of terminally ill people report vivid, comforting dreams about dying. And there's evidence of a final chemical surge in the brain.
Maybe nature's way of easing the transition.
Perhaps. It's a gentle finding amidst a difficult topic.
Which brings us to medicine itself. It's made huge strides but has blind spots, like excluding women from trials.
A major historical flaw. We learned the hard way that drugs can affect men and women very differently. Phenylpropanolamine, Ambien. Dosage and risk can vary significantly.
Critical lessons. And animal testing has limits, too.
Big limits.
Yeah.
Animals metabolize drugs differently, get different diseases. The book mentions a TV researcher saying, mice don't cough. Alzheimer's drugs worked in mice, but failed or even harmed humans. It's not a perfect model.
Translation is tricky. What about screening? Can it lead to overtreatment?
Definitely. Screenings can find things, like certain breast cancers, that might never have caused harm if left alone. But finding them leads to treatments that carry their own risks. It's a really difficult balance.
Finding the right balance seems key. And finally, that stark warning about pandemics.
Yeah, the quote is sobering. We're really no better prepared for a major outbreak than 100 years ago during the Spanish flu.
We've just been lucky.
According to the book, yes. Not especially vigilant, just lucky. A wake-up call, really.
It certainly is. Wow. This journey through the body has been, well, incredible. The complexity, the resilience, the sheer number of things we still don't understand about ourselves.
It leaves you with a sense of awe, doesn't it? The
Yep.
more we learn, the more mysterious and wonderful it seems.
Absolutely. And remember, this analysis is brought to you by Mindful Moments, our YouTube channel. You can find more deep dives into fascinating books there.
And don't forget about our podcasts for more compelling discussions like this one.
So, thinking about everything we've touched on, the atomic connections, the internal battles, the brain's constructions, the limits of our knowledge.
How does it change how you view your own existence? What new questions pop into your head about this body you occupy?
It's definitely food for thought. We really hope you'll subscribe to the Mindful Moments YouTube channel to keep exploring these kinds of ideas.
Please do. And if you found this interesting, share it with someone else who might appreciate it.
You can find a link in the description if you want to grab a copy of The Body, a Guide for Occupants, and read it yourself. Highly recommended.
And most importantly, keep thinking critically about the information you get and about this truly amazing biological machine you call home.